What's up YouTube, this is Tubedigga. Happy New Year, this is my first video of 2019 and in this video I'm going to show you how to emulate a more authentic SP1200 gritty grainy sound in your MPC X, MPC Live and MPC 2.3. Before I start this video, I'd just like to thank all my current subscribers, anyone that's liked or shared my videos, and also anyone that's been very kind and generous and donated to this channel. If you'd also like to do the same, there's a PayPal link in the description and I would be forever grateful to you for doing that. I also conduct Google Hangouts lessons, so if you're interested in those, please contact me at tubedigga@gmail.com for more information. Lastly, please do go to the homepage of this channel and just hit the bell notification. That will let you know when I've uploaded new videos, because I will be covering the new Akai Force in the next coming weeks. So stay tuned for some Tubedigga style tutorials on that once I get my head around it. I've not actually got one yet. I'm hoping to receive one at some point and I will definitely get on it with the tutorials for that. But also we are supposed to be getting an update for the MPC at some point. I know we've just had a big one, but it has been said that some of the features in the Akai Force will be made available to us on the MPC at some point. I've no idea when that's going to be, but please do hit the bell notification symbol, and of course if you haven't already subscribed, please do subscribe, and then you will get notification of when I release any new videos on the Akai Force or any forthcoming MPC updates. So what's all this SP1200 emulation business? Well, a lot of people have been a little bit disheartened that they can't create that sound with the vintage emulation insert effects that we've got in the MPC at the moment. So if we go to the pad mixer, I've actually covered this in other videos. So if you go to my MPC Live and MPC X tutorial playlist, you'll see there's a vintage emulation workaround video in there. I think I might have done one or two. I'm not too sure, but there's definitely one in there. And I go through the effects and apply them to different samples and you can hear the difference. But they aren't exactly what I think a lot of us were expecting in terms of getting that true gritty and crunchy SP1200. So on my first track I've got this drum program called Single Hits. It's literally just a kick, snare and a hi-hat. These are all quite hi-fi sounds in the grand scheme of things, so I've put together a beat which I'm going to show you how to manipulate to get that kind of SP1200 sound. After I've done that, I will show you how to do this on an actual drum break that's been sampled from a record. So let me just play the Single Hits beat. Okay, so it's decent enough, but it's a little bit stale. It doesn't have that nice vintage grit that we're trying to achieve. If we just go to track 2, this does have a little bit of grittiness and graininess to it because it is a vintage drum break, which I've just reconstructed. So you can hear the air in there and the background noise, and you know, it's a little bit noisy in a good way. But I'm going to do the same process with both of these, just so you can see that it can be applied in either scenario. So back in the day, the reason why drum samples in particular had that nice gritty and grainy punch was due to a workaround that people were forced to do because of memory, or rather RAM restrictions. So what we would do is we would sample things at a higher speed. So if you had a 33 RPM vinyl record, you just put it on 45, you would sample it, and obviously the sample would be a lot shorter because it's faster. If you didn't have a 33 RPM record and you were sampling a 45 RPM record, you would just resample it within your sampler at a higher pitch and then slow it down. And that's what we're going to do in the MPC X in this tutorial. So, as said, I've constructed this beat. All we need to do is we need to bounce this to a sample. So I'm going to bounce that to a sample. If you haven't done this before, it's your track edit menu, which you access with this pencil icon, and just bounce the sample there. And then you can go straight to your sample editor and find that new bounce. So now we've got this as a break. So let's go up to a third track. Let's just add a new drum program. And I'm going to keep solo activated so we can cleanly differentiate between these three different programs that I've got. So now I'm just going to add that bounce sample to pad 1 in my new program. Now we need to increase the semitones to emulate the speeding up of that sample, or indeed just replicate what would have been done within an old vintage sampler back in the day, and just increase the pitch to make the sample shorter. So I've experimented with this at various different pitches. 1 octave above its root pitch at 12 semitones plus 12 semitones is not enough. Even 2 octaves above plus 24 semitones is not enough. I found that for most drum beats around 28-30 or plus 28-30 semitones works quite well. So now it sounds like this. So now we can do one of two things here. We could either record that in as a new sample, but I'm just going to literally flatten it to a pad. If you don't already know, flattening will flatten that sample with all the current parameter settings. So let's just do it. So now that's flattened, the semitones has been reset to 0. When you flatten a pad, if you don't already know, it resets any of the parameters, and the sample you're left with is exactly as you heard it before you flattened it. So there's our new flattened sample. Now all we need to do is simply return this back to minus 28 semitones, and you'll hear that it sounds a lot more lo-fi, and a lot of the top end has now been lost in a good way. Now don't worry, that's not the end of that process. I still need to do some things to it to make it sound a bit more SP1200-ish. Let's go to our second pad and add in our first bounce. Okay, so that's the difference between the two. Let's press the second pad again. And let's now add that SP1200 effect. To my ears, that actually makes it sound more hi-fi. It adds a high frequency content to the sample. So let's just delete that effect. And now let's put it on our vintage emulation sample. Let's go to SP1200. So it doesn't do hardly anything at all. Let's just do a comparison. It's barely detectable, if at all. So let's just delete that. Now this is where it starts getting interesting. When I had my MPC 5000, I can't remember all the different filter types. It definitely had quite a few, but I can't remember whether it had the band stop filters. Now band stop filters allow you to actually bypass certain frequency bands within the frequency spectrum of a given sample. So as an example, if I wanted to take the high frequencies out of this sound, I would keep the cutoff quite high. So as you can hear, as we get down into the kind of sort of 3/4 of the way up range, I've no idea what that would be in actual frequencies because we haven't got that value to show us. But as we go down to the middle, the high frequencies are coming back. So what I'm going to do is just give you a comparison. I'm going to take the filter off of that. And then add that filter back in. So it's definitely the band stop 8 pole and the band stop 6 pole that have the most prominent effect, particularly on this sample. Just as a side note, it does all depend on the actual content you're applying these filters to. So it's not a hard and fast fact that it's either the band stop 8 pole or 6 pole. And that's added a nice bit of high frequency content and grit and grain to our sample. We can actually go up to the band boost filters. So we've got the same amount here. We've got the 2-pole, 4-pole, 6-pole and 8-pole. Now be careful with the 8-pole because it really does boost the frequencies, particularly when you just bring the cutoff down just slightly. And there's our original. And that's pretty much how it's done. Let's now try it on our break that we've got on track 2. So once again, I'm going to bounce that to a sample and go up to track 4, add a new program edit, and now let's add in our new sample. So once again, I'm not going to go through every different semitone possibility, that would take forever, but let's go somewhere in between 20 plus, let's go to plus 26, because I've tried plus 24, it wasn't brilliant. Of course, once again, it does depend on the sample you're using, so you will need to play around with this. If you find that it's not lo-fi enough, then you will have to increase your semitones and make the sample really high pitched and short. If you just want to add a subtle bit, then just go up a few semitones. But if you really want to add a lot of that kind of grit, things do get a bit too lo-fi and unusable if you go too high. I went right up to 36 and it wasn't brilliant. So I'm going to go to 26 and I'm going to flatten this pad again. Okay, there's our new sample, and all we need to do now is just bring that back down to minus 26 semitones. And it's definitely now got a nice lo-fi feel about it. So again, let's go to the filter page and choose, let's try the band stop 6-pole. Nice bit of high frequencies on there. Let's go to the band stop 8-pole. So fully open, that sounds pretty decent. Let's now go and try the band boosts. I'm not sure about you, but I actually prefer it with the band boost 8-pole. This is the most powerful one out of all the filters, I think, because it really does boost the current frequency range that you've got your cutoff set to. Let's now program that into our sequence, and then we can solo the different tracks for comparison. This is our original beat that was made up of relatively hi-fi or high definition single hit drum sounds. This is the vintage emulation that we've created. Here's our drum break. And that's it, guys. Very, very simple workaround to achieve that SP1200 sound. You literally speed up your samples or create your beats in the sequencer. It doesn't matter how you do it, whether you sample something in, speed it up and then reduce the pitch or the speed. That is how you do it. That's how we did it back in the day. And I think it's a lot better effect than the emulations that we've got as insert effects. Once again, that's not to say that they're completely unusable. Far from it. It's just that they don't do exactly what I think a lot of us wanted them to do. I hope you've enjoyed this video, guys. As said, please do subscribe if you haven't already done so. Please like and share. And also, please remember to hit the bell notification, which will notify you of any forthcoming videos that I hope to be covering of the Akai Force, and of course any forthcoming updates on the MPC. Peace out, guys, have a good one, and I'll see you on the next one. This is Tubedigga, and I'm out.